Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing tonight? Well, a little bit more of a relaxed version of Peter Monn over here. So I'm vlogging, which means our vet appointment went really, really well today. I was very worried about it, obviously, last night. As I said in the vlog last night, I'll give you guys a full update. I just want to say, first of all, I just felt like I needed to get it off my chest and share what was going on, and I was so stressed out and so worried. Alex and I both have. I was actually just reading a text message that he sent the update to Jesse and Fufu, because they've been so many people have been checking in. So Alex has been we're in these group texts, and I've been responding, he's been responding and stuff, but we were so kind of just panicked and spiraling, and so much of it has to do with how Tucker passed away, because, you know, Tucker was fine, and then he wasn't fine, and he was really lethargic, and then it just it was really sudden with Tucker. And so I think we were borrowing a lot of trouble with that with Boo Radley, but over very real things that were going on. I mean, there were very real things that were going on with Boo Radley. We were very, very concerned about it. So in yesterday's vlog, I just, I felt like I just needed to get it all out. And I just want to say, you guys were so encouraging and just so loving and so kind. And I just want to say, I really, really appreciate it. One of the things that really, really helps me so much get through tough times in my life, I mean, the encouraging comments, first of all, and the loving, kind comments, but also when people share stuff that's going on or has gone on in their own life. And so many people in the comment sections, or comment sections of my videos, but specifically the vlog, and I got so many DMs from people last night sharing personal experiences that they had gone through, and that is so helpful to me. It makes me feel like not so alone when I'm going through something, and I'm like, oh, this is helpful, and that's helpful, and I just want to say I really, really appreciate that. And also, quite a few of you shared that you had just recently lost pets and lost dogs, and I just want to say I'm so sorry. And thank you for, and just having lost, you know, people were sending me DMs last night that they literally had just lost pets in the last week or two, you know? And to share that with me, to help me get to a better place, it's just really vulnerable and really honest, and I just want to say I really, really appreciate it. I don't know, it felt very special that people were so willing to share personal things that they had gone through to help me get through something, and it really, really meant a lot. So thank you, I appreciate it. It is kind of a really cool community that sprang off of me just, you know, sitting here vlogging every day. I don't know, it's cool. It's really cool, and so many of you DM'd me. There was no way I could respond to every DM that I got. I just want you to know I got hundreds of them. I read every single one of them. I really, really appreciate it. You know, I don't very often put stuff like this on Instagram, but I said, you know, if you believe in prayers or, you know, positivity or whatever, just please send some our way for Boo Radley. And so, I mean, it just literally, I was flooded with prayers and positivity. It was just so nice. And it made me feel very, very loved, and it made, you know, it just, as a family, Alex and Boo and I made us feel very loved, and I just want to say I really, really appreciate that. So let me tell you what happened. So last night, last night Boo pretty much slept the entire night, and he was sleeping upstairs, and we would take him outside, and he just really didn't want to do a whole lot. And after I got done with the vlog, I probably felt more hopeless, in all honesty, after I got done with the vlog, because I kind of said it all. And in all honesty, I said yesterday that I felt really 50% hopeful and 50%, I probably was more 75% hopeless, in all honesty. I really thought we were going to go in today and she was going to say, you need to put him down. That's honest to God, that's what I thought. And I was kind of really trying to talk myself out of that and hold on to the hope and not borrow trouble and all these things. And that's where I go to my skill set, right? But in my head, I was like, this is just not going to be good. It just isn't. You know, we didn't know what it was. And so Alex and I watched The Real Housewives of Dubai last night. Boo Radley was upstairs asleep. So we have the purple bed on the bed, and then the other bed that I bought, we now have it in like the hallway, like on the landing, so that he can sleep in either place if he wants to sleep on the floor. So he was sleeping on the landing in his little bed last night, the little brown bed that I bought, and he was sleeping on that. So we watched Real Housewives of Dubai, and then Alex gave him his medicine. So because he was getting blood taken today, Boo is very, very nervous at the vet. He's very nervous, like, in interacting with anybody, but he just doesn't like it. And so, especially when people are, like, picking at him, and he doesn't like that. And so we give him a trazodone. I think it's half a trazodone the night before, then half a trazodone the morning of. That way he's sleepy, and he's kind of, like, a little bit sedated when we take him in there. So Alex had given him, I mean, the poor little guy, first of all, has been pacing for a week now. And honestly, and there were people that put this in the comment sections, and it was just such a perfect description of what's going on. He just seemed uncomfortable. He just seemed like, I talked to Tanya a lot about it last night. He just seemed really uncomfortable, and like, not really, like, I wouldn't say an excruciating pain. He just seemed like he couldn't get comfortable. Like, he just was like, he would sit down, then he'd get up. He'd sit down, he'd get up. He just kept on, like, moving. I mean, he seemed uncomfortable, and we couldn't really figure out what it was. Tanya had mentioned to me last night, maybe it was the night before, I don't know if I mentioned on here, but she said something about a pinched nerve. Tanya had also mentioned to me that maybe he had had a stroke. And so I'm, of course, borrowing all this, and, you know, people had suggested things, and so I'm Googling everything that people are suggesting to me, right? And when I looked online, I literally, first of all, I just have to tell you, this was the very end of my coffee, and I was going to have some of my pumpkin spice cold brew. My neighbor just left, but I was like, I think I want to do a review of it maybe. So this is the very last of my regular, I have like 2 more bottles in there, but I didn't want to open one. So this is the first coffee that I'm having today. I had a Diet Dr. Pepper on the way to the vet, and then I just finished it while I was uploading videos. So I am going on about 2.5 hours of sleep right now. And I did not go back to sleep when we came back from the vet. I was like, I'm just going to film my videos now, and then I'll be done early. And it's currently, we didn't even do a time and temperature check. It's supposed to be like 89 today. My neighbor and I on the corner, she and I were talking about, it's 5:20 right now. I can't believe that. It's taken me so long to get these up, because I thought I'd be done by like 3 o'clock. Sarah was just texting us. Alex was giving her an update. What's the temperature? It's 88 and sunny right now. It would have been a perfect pool day. And the pool chairs were sitting there. And, I mean, I probably wouldn't have gone to the pool today anyway, but the pool chairs are sitting there. The water's in the pool. It's not chemically treated, so you can't go in it now. But anyway, so I'm looking up all this stuff last night, right? And Alex had given him his gabapentin, and he'd given him his Carfutin or whatever it's called, and the pill, and then, but he didn't want to take that. But he did later, but he didn't want to take it. And so Alex gave him the trazodone, and he took the trazodone, but he wouldn't take the Carfutin. We don't know. He was being very, like, he didn't want to eat a lot. He really hasn't eaten a lot in 2 days. And he's been, you know, sleeping and then walking. It's just like, I just feel like his mind has just been like this, and I just feel bad for the little guy. So I talked to Tanya, and Tanya said something about, she said, maybe he has a pinched nerve. Like, maybe he, like, when he, like, jumped or whatever. Because the thing is, Boo Radley runs up, and boom. I mean, it's like, literally. I mean, Tanya said to me today, let me just read you the text from Tanya, okay, when I told her what was going on. She said, no more, he's no more jumping on the bed. He thinks he's Superman. And that's the thing, he does. And, like, he, like, runs and jumps on the bed. He, like, flies off the end of the bed. And so Tanya was like, well, maybe he, like fell, and you didn't see it, and so he's got, a pinched nerve. And I said, well, have you been around a lot of dogs that have pinched nerves? She's like, oh yeah, a lot. And she said, and it can hurt them all the way from their head all the way to the bottom of their feet, and it can kind of radiate, so it can come and go. And she said, that might be why one day he's not wanting you to touch your face, but the next day he's completely fine with it. And she was like, because last night it was the top of his head. He didn't want us touching. And so, but it was like, this part was completely fine. But if you touch the top of his head, he'd go like that. He didn't like it. And so she said, you know, maybe that's that. I said, well, and then I'm like panicked. And I'm like, well, how does a vet treat it? And she was like, well, they would give him like a muscle relaxer or whatever. She's like, it'll take a couple weeks probably, but he'll be back to normal. She's like, Peter, he's an older dog. So if he hurt himself, it's going to take longer than, you know, a year ago it was 2 or 3 days. It might now take 5, 6, 7 days, 2 weeks. So that helped me a little bit. But like, I went inside last night and I was like Google searching symptoms of a stroke, a dog stroke. And like none of the symptoms fit Boo Radley at all. Like none of it. Like it's circling and it's like holding their head to one side. Like none of the things with a stroke fit anything that's going on with him. Like every person, like the emergency vet and our vet today was asking about the circling. And so I asked and they're like, it'll circle in a small circle. It's like when they're trying to make a bed, but it's like in a room and they just keep on circling. So I said, so it's not like pacing from room, no. And they're like, no, it's not pacing from room to room. It's like literally like in a circle. They just keep on walking in a circle. It's like they're off balance. So none of the symptoms were like that, right? So of course I'm continuing to look up the dog dementia stuff. But then I looked up pinched nerve in dogs and it was like every symptom matched Boo Radley. So I felt a little bit better about that. So I go upstairs last night. Alex is going to bed because he had to get up this morning and work from home so that he could take us to the vet today. And so he was gonna, go into work after like he brought Boo and I home. So he had to be up at like 6:30. So he goes to bed. Boo Radley's sleeping, I'm like, okay, while he's sleeping, I'm gonna like relax my mind. So I'm watching Sister Wives and all that kind of stuff. And I was like 2 episodes in. And I was like, I'm going to go check on him. So I went and checked on him. Well, the bedroom doors were closed. And when I opened the bedroom door, he was standing. He had, like, jumped down off the bed and he was standing. He's been, like, a little hesitant, like, at the end of the bed. Like, he doesn't want to, like, jump off the end of the bed, but he will do it. He's not jumping on the bed at all right now, like, for the last 2 or 3 days. He was, but he stopped, like, 2 or 3 days ago. So... So I was like, okay, do you want to go outside, Boo Radley? And so he kind of looked a little excited when I said that. So I picked him up and I carried him downstairs and I took him outside. He did not want to do anything outside. And I didn't know if it was from the trazodone. I didn't know what it was from. I mean, this dog just like stood in the yard and just like looked at me. He didn't pee. He didn't want to do anything, like at all. And so I brought him back inside and I tried to give him a treat. He refused it. He wouldn't eat any treats. He wouldn't eat any food. I'm like starting to get upset. I'm like... This kind of reminds me of like how Pee-Pee was at the end, towards the end. And I was like, this is not good. This is not good at all. So I took him back upstairs and I put him in the little bed in the hallway. And he like went into it and he like laid down. Because I didn't want him like jumping down again and then like just wandering around. The nightlight that we have in there, we have like this blue nightlight. It works perfectly because it doesn't come up on the bed, but like you can see the edge of the bed and the floor is all like lit up and stuff like that. It's perfect for it. And so, I guess it is motion sensor. I didn't think it was, but I guess it is because like during the day, like if you walk by it, it goes on, but like other than that, it's off. So I watched like another episode of Sister Wives and then I went to bed. And when I went to bed, because I was like, I gotta go to bed. Well, when I went to bed, I came into the room, taking my contacts off, went in the bathroom, taking my contacts out. When I came back in the room, he had jumped down off the bed. And I was like, do you want to go outside again? So I took him outside. He did the same thing. He just stood there. And now I'm really upset, because this is like 2 times over the course of a couple hours. He just looked like completely dazed. Well, this is how he gets in the trazodone. And I knew that, but at the same time, I'm like borrowing Oz trouble, right? So... I bring him back inside. I put him on the bed. I literally put him like in the purple bed. Well, he like wiggles out of it. And so he like goes to the edge of the bed and he's just like standing there. So I like went down the edge of the bed and I'm like talking to him. And then I like picked him up again. I put him in the purple bed and he like wiggled out. Like he didn't want to be in the purple bed. So then he was just like, so then I laid down. I was kind of like laying like this, like looking at him. And he's like just standing at the end of the bed for like 20 minutes. Finally, he laid down at the end of the bed. So then I took his little purple blanket and I like put it up where his head was so he could put his head up there. So I laid down and I'm like, you gotta go to sleep because it's now like, I mean, we had to be up at like 8 o'clock and I'm like, it's now like 5:30. I'm like, you've got to go to sleep. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep. Well, I woke up like a half an hour later, just, I don't know why. And, Boo Radley had moved up a little bit, but he still wasn't in his purple bed. So he must have slept down like at the end of the bed last night. So we got up this morning. When I got up this morning, Alex was downstairs doing work. And I look over and Boo Radley's sleeping where Alex is, like next to his pillow. And he is out. I mean, he's like curled up tight and he's out. So I got ready. We went to the vet. We picked him up. Boo Radley was like so dead asleep this morning. And I was like, okay, the problem is that the vet's not going to get to see him in his usual state. Like this is like a trazodoned up dog. Like, you know, I mean, that's what the vet recommends when we bring him in. But, like, this is now, like, this dog is half asleep. And so, and like, we even talked about that with her. She was like, well, I mean, you know, we're either going to get blood work or we're going to see what the dog's like, but then we're going to have to wait 2 or 3 days for blood work at the beginning of the week. And so we were like, we opted for the blood work because we wanted to make sure that there's nothing internally wrong with them. So we go in there and we're sitting in there waiting, and there's this woman in there, and she's got this Bernedoodle or something like that, this cute dog, and he's jumping all over the place. He's like 6 months old. He's a little pup. I mean, he was a big dog, but he was a puppy. And she's being real sweet to us and smiling. And Alex and I just look like, I mean, we look like we have not 1 ounce of hope left in us. I mean, just, it was, I mean, Boo Radley's just like asleep, and he's like rolling his head. We're holding him, you know, and it's just like, I mean, I think Alex and I both were like, this is it, you know? So we go in there, and the vet comes in. So we're telling her everything that's going on. She knew a lot about it. The emergency vet had sent the records over and stuff like that, so she knew a lot about it. But she's like, tell me the specific things that are going on. And so we told her, like, everything specific that was going on with them. And she's, like, feeling all over him. She's, like, looking at his gums and stuff like that. And he knows her, so, like, he'll let her do some of that stuff. So this is, like, I love this vet so much, okay? And she, like, is Alex's age, and she's got, like, a lot of dogs and kids and stuff like that. So she's, like, on the floor playing with him. And Boo Radley's wagging his tail, and he's, like, running over here, and he's, like, ducking over behind her. And she's like, where'd you go? And he's, like, coming around. She's like, this is not a sick dog. She's like, I like this. Like, he would, like, act real crazy, and then she'd go, I like this. And then when she was trying to, like, open his mouth to look at his gums, he, like, fought her like that. And she's like, this is Boo Radley. She's like, this dog is healthy. And I'm like, and Alex and I are just like, oh my God, what? And, like, she's like, so we went through the whole thing, and she's talking to us about it, whatever. The Benadryl, she was like, I don't know. She was like, it could make him anxious, it could not. She was like, he could have just been in pain. She's like, I'm starting to think, because she said his vitals are normal, everything looks normal on him. She goes, we won't know more until the blood work comes back. But Alex had taken a stool sample in. The stool sample came back 100% normal. So she's like, does this whole, you know, thing with him, looks all over him, you know, checks his ears, everything like that. She's like, I really think, she was like, he hurt himself. She's like, you know, you got a 15-year-old dog, because she looked at him, she goes, you know, your problem is, Boo Radley, is that you're an old guy, is what you are. And she's like, I think you got an older dog, he's already got arthritis, and she's like, it's going to take him longer to heal. And she's like, so what you guys were seeing that took 2 to 3 days a year ago is now going to take a week to 2 weeks. She's like, dogs progressively age pretty quickly. So then that made me real sad, but I was like glad that, so I said to her, I go, so it's nothing internal. She goes, I'm not seeing anything internal from him, like how I'm touching him and whatever. She said, but we won't know till the blood work comes back. She goes, but I'm telling you right now. She goes, I said to her, I go, well, we were really worried because Tucker, and she goes, the tumor on his spleen. She goes, I'm going to be real blunt with you. She goes, it's not that. It's nothing like that. And I go, how do you know that? She goes, because he would be dead. And I said, oh, like, really? She goes, if this started last Thursday, she goes, and there was a tumor on his spleen that was as aggressive as his brother's, he would have been dead already. She goes, Tucker didn't make it. She goes, there's no way Boo would have made it. And she said, you guys would have been forced to make a decision the other night at the emergency vet. And I was like, okay. She's like, no, he's good. She's like, he's in pain, I can tell. She's like, but he's still playful. And Alex was like, well, he's better now, right now, than he was yesterday. And she's like, so he's getting better each day. And we're like, well, no, like, he's not eating or anything. So then she put some food down on the floor, and, like, he was real interested in it, but he just wouldn't eat it. And so she's like, I'm wondering if, like, he somehow, like, so I told her what Tanya said, and she knows Tanya and all that kind of stuff, and so she was like, it could be a pinched nerve. She goes, but it could also just be that, like, he hurt himself, and it's radiating through different points. And so she's like, okay, so what we're going to do is, she's like, we're going to put him on a muscle relaxer. So she had it, like, compounded into liquid form. Alex is actually on his way to go pick it up right now. She's like, that should probably help him, and you're going to see. She's like, we're going to give it 2 weeks from today. She's like, most elderly senior dogs take, I think she said senior dogs. She's like, most senior dogs take 2 to 3 weeks to heal from when they, like, fall, something like that. She was like, he can still sleep on the bed. She's like, but you guys need to put pillows around the edge of the bed when he sleeps at night so that if he jumps off or he falls, that, like, he lands on a pillow. And we're like, okay, so we're going to do that. She was like, but leave the door open and I didn't want the door open because I didn't want him walking up and down the stairs because I was afraid he'd fall. She goes, he's not going to fall down the stairs. If he does, he's going to fall down a stair. She was like, he's so little. I think this was Alex coming up right now. And she was like, is this Alex? She was like, and the nightlight is fantastic. She's like, I think that was the right thing to do because I was telling her about the dog dementia and stuff like that. Actually, let me go check with him really quick and see about this medicine that he got. And I'm going to tell him, like, Boo Rowley's just been sleeping all day, but I just want to kind of give him a little update, and then I will be back. Okay, I'm back. He said he's not that tired. I'm kind of surprised. I'm exhausted. So she talked to us about the night. Oh, she actually, like, before we even said the nightlight thing, she said something about like making, like, so he can see on the floor. And I said, oh, well, I was looking at the dog, because I kept on saying, like, stuff about the dog dementia. And so she was like, she said something about the light. I said, oh, we got the lights on the floor and whatever. And she's like, oh, that's great, blah, 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 something like that. I can't remember how she said it. But anyway, that was when she was, like, playing with Boo. And so she was like, we're going to do this muscle relaxer for like 2 to 3 weeks. She was like, but I also think about this shot that apparently there's like some shot for dogs that have arthritis, and you can give it to them with or without the gabapentin. She recommended that we do the shot and give them the gabapentin. So the shot is called, I actually have the pamphlet right here because I was looking at it. It's called Librela. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, give your dogs more days of play. Control dog osteoarthritis. So you give it to them every month. You give it to them there every month. Oh, look, that looks like Boo Radley laying in his bed. But you give it to them like every month. You come in there and give it to them, and then, so they gave him his first shot today. We're like, yeah, let's do that. She's like, okay. She's like, it's, you know, early stages, but I'm having like a lot of good results with it with people. And so she's like, we're gonna do that. We're gonna monitor him for like the next 2 to 3 weeks and see how he's doing. And then she was like, and I want to get blood work today and all this kind of stuff. Well, at that point, he was kind of anxious. He didn't really want to get blood work done. So I was like, okay. And she's like, well, I'm going to have I'll have 2 techs come in and then you guys can help him. And I said, okay. And I said, can we talk about this dog dementia thing for a second? She's like, yeah, I actually just went to like this convention about dog dementia. She goes, because, so she was telling us that, you know, she has a couple dogs, but she was like, 2 of my dogs have dog dementia, and she was like, I like to learn about things that I'm interested in my field, and since I have 2 dogs, she's like, or she has 2 senior dogs that are like starting to have that. So she's like, I went to the symposium. She's like, you know, the thing is about it, she's like, there's no, you can't really do like brainwave testing on dogs to see if they have dog dementia. She was like, we don't really have the same test. They can't tell us things. Like, you can't ask them like, what's your address, what's the date, you know, things like that. She was like, so they can't verbalize to us the same kind of test that you would do with a human being that has dementia. So she's like, you have to look for specific signs. She's like, because I was telling her about like the schedule. She goes, well, one of the reasons why they tell you, she's like, I just learned this to do like a schedule, is because if the dog starts getting off the schedule, what you realize is that they don't know their schedule anymore. And she's like, so it's a way for the human to realize the dog is getting worse. She's like, but the schedules also help the dogs, because then the dogs like know, like, okay, it's time to go outside, it's time to go to the bathroom, and she was like, or go potty and all this kind of stuff. So she was kind of explaining all that to me. And I was telling her all this kind of stuff, and she said, I'm gonna be honest with you. She goes, he's an older dog. I don't think he has dog dementia. I said, you don't? She goes, no, he knew me as soon as I walked in the room. And she goes, and that's not necessarily a sign. She goes, but if he does have dog dementia, he's in very early stages. I mean, like, she walked in and his tail started wagging. I mean, he knew her. And so she was like, he's not really, like, other than the pacing, she goes, he's not really showing a lot of signs that he has dog dementia. Not like the dogs that I see, she goes, in here that have, like, progressed stages of dog dementia. She goes, the sundowners and stuff like that, she goes, she goes, you need to stay offline, first of all. She goes, Peter, you gotta stay offline. Alex is like, thank you. She's like, you gotta stay offline and stop reading into all this kind of stuff. And she was like, you know, you can't like listen to every theory about there or you're gonna drive yourself crazy. She's like, you have a question, call me. You're worried about him, bring him in here. She was like, I'm sorry that we couldn't get to you earlier in the week. She was like, you know, like, we're like, don't worry about it. You know, she's like, I'm glad that you guys took him to the emergency vet. She's like, because that's what I would do. You know, if we couldn't, you know, I would have recommended that, you know. If, for anybody, she was like, I would recommend that for anybody if it couldn't get him. She's like, I'm glad that you guys took him there. And she's like, I'm really sorry, you know, I had surgery and then I had this kid thing. We're like, don't worry about it. You know, she's like, so anyway. But anyway, so she said, we're going to do the shot, and then we're going to keep him the gabapentin. She also said, if he's having a hard time, so she thinks that the pacing is because he's in pain. from whatever happened to him. And so, because the doing the laps, I was telling her about doing the laps. She goes, that's gabapentin. She goes, that's the first hour. She's like, Alex is right, because he would take his medicine and Alex would go, he's doing his laps. The pacing the other night and the couple nights it's been, she goes, that's pain. She goes, dogs, when they are in pain, they can't get comfortable. They can't get settled. And so they pace, they walk a lot because they don't know how to get settled. And she goes, I think that's really what you were seeing the other night. She goes, I don't think it was the Benadryl. She goes, I think it was he couldn't get comfortable because he was in so much pain. So that's why we're going to do the muscle relaxer. She goes, I said, well, is he going to be like real like out of it? Cause she's like, no. She goes, I don't even think you'll notice a difference. She said, with the gabapentin, she said, we're on such a low dose of the gabapentin. She's like, we're going to move that up, first of all. And then she said, and because we're on like a really, really low dose of it. And she's like, we're going to move that up when he gets at night. And she goes, and the other thing you can do is, she goes, you can also increase it. She goes, so he's been on it long enough now that we know how he reacts to it. She goes, you can either like increase it more, like when you give it to him. She goes, or if he's waking up in the middle of the night, I go, he's waking up in the middle of the night. She goes, when he wakes up, she goes, what time do you guys usually give it to him? And I said, well, Alex usually gives it to him at 8:30 or 9 because, you know, like Alex will give it to him like in the morning, so like 12 to 14 hours later. And she's like, okay. She was like, well, if you give it to him between like 7 and 8, and she was like, then he wakes up at like 2 o'clock to go outside. She goes, Peter, you can give him a little bit more. That'll get him to sleep through the night. And then when Alex gives him the dose in the morning, then he should be fine. She goes, I think that will really help too. She's like, we've seen fantastic results with him on this gabapentin. And she's like, I wasn't sure when we first gave it to him. She's like, but she was like, I think that this will really, really help him. So that's what we're going to do too. So like, if he wakes up in the middle of the night, not just to go outside, if he goes outside and then he goes back upstairs, like that's one thing. But if he's like pacing or whatever, she's like, then you know, like he can't get comfortable. So that was fine. And then she said she wants to see him. I think she said November. No, she said his blood work is due in November. So she's like, let's just do it today. And then she was like, and then you'll come in next month for your shot. And she's like, I want to do like a follow-up and see kind of how he's doing. So I looked at her and I said, because at the end, right before she left, she said something about like, that's when she looked at Boo Radley. And she goes, you know, your problem is you're just like an old guy or something like that. And I said, can we have a real conversation for a second? And I said, and none of this pee-pee stuff. Like when you told us about pee-pee that he had 1.5 years and you really thought 6 months. And she goes, what's the question? First of all, our vet is so fantastic and she's very real. I love her. She's like, you know the girl that was like in 5th grade and wanted to have a horse and she always knew she wanted to be a vet? Like that's this vet. I mean, she loves animals and I love her to death. And she's very just direct, except for the one time with Pee-Pee because I was just bawling my eyes out, right? And I said, realistically, I said, minus a fall or him really hurting himself and nothing internal, I said, what do you, life expectancy, what do you think? And she goes, I mean, he can make it, Peter, another, 3 to 5 years. She's like, but I'm going to tell you how this dog's going to go. She was like, he is over time, because I kept on saying slowing down. I felt like he was slowing down. Because he is going to slow down over time. She was like, he is. There are going to be days towards the end where he doesn't want to ever get out of bed. He's not enjoying life. He doesn't want to eat. And there's going to be days of that in a row. And she goes, and that's when you're going to have to make a decision. She goes, but we're not there today. She goes, this is the dog that's chasing me all over the room. She's like, he's excited today. And he's on trazodone. She goes, so no, this is not a sick dog. And both Alex and I looked at each other like, oh my God, thank God. She's like, you guys did a great job as dog dad. She's like, I'm so glad you got like right on it. She was like, I have so many people that like don't bring their dogs in for a month. And she was like, it could have been something internal, She was like, the emergency vet would have been able to tell you. I was like, yeah, they said it was nothing like the other day. They didn't think it was anything internal. And so, she was like, you guys did a great job. She was like, just keep in contact with us and stuff, and we're going to see how things go. So I have to just tell you, so it's not like it's great, like it's not great news. Like he hurt himself somehow and he's healing from that. But it's better news than, okay, like we have to make some tough decisions and you're going to have to put your dog down. Like I really thought that was the conversation we were going to have today. Like he's in a lot of pain and you need to relieve him from his pain. That was the conversation that we were going to have today. And I'm not going to have a dog. I'm not selfishly keeping a dog around that's in pain. I'm not going to do that. And Alex and I are very much on board about that. I mean, the Tucker situation was such a no-brainer because we just were, I mean, he couldn't keep his head up, he couldn't stand up, he couldn't walk. And when she came in and showed me that syringe of blood, and then was like showing us, like, she'd done this like x-ray, she had this little x-ray machine thing, and she was like, I mean, he's got this, you know, tumor that's behind his spleen. She's like, it's extremely aggressive. She's like, you can take him home, but he'll be dead in like a couple days, and he'll die in pain. That's cruelty. I don't understand all that. But so I thought we were walking in to have that conversation today, but she was like, no. She was like, I said, well, you just had the zoomies last, you know, Wednesday. He's going to have the zoomies again, Peter. She was like, he's going to have the zoomies again. She was like, he just is healing right now, and he's really tired, and he probably doesn't want to eat because he's not interested that much. She's like, he sniffed my bowl. She was like, because she put like this bowl of like food on the floor, and she was trying to feed it to him, and he would like sniff it, but he just like didn't want to eat. And she goes, his mouth might hurt, or his head might hurt, or something. That might be part of it. She's like, we just don't know because dogs can't tell us. She's like, just keep a close eye on him and stuff like that. So I filmed all my videos today, sitting next to him in the bed, and he just slept the whole time. Except for one video, he like made a little cameo at the end of the bed and came back. But she's like, no, she's like, I think, you know, she's like, this is senior dogs, Peter. She's like, you gotta just, you know, keep on looking. Alex asked her a bunch of questions, and she told Alex, she was like, no, she was like, don't panic. She was like, you guys always, you know, are right on top of things. And she's like, you know, it's, you guys, because we came in with like a list written down. She's like, you guys are always like, have the list of like what the symptoms are. She's like, I have people pulling stuff out. She's like, you guys have the list of the symptoms. And she's like, it's very easy. And she's like, you guys have, you know, always been great to work with. And I was like, thank you, you've been great to work with. And she's just so nice. And so yeah. So she said, she's like, I don't think this is dog dementia. She was like, you know, let's get him over the pain and then see if like the other stuff happens. She's like, but I'm not seeing that right now. And she goes, and you need to stay off the internet because you're looking for answers to things that aren't going to be there. She's like, you need to talk to a professional. You need to talk to a vet instead of looking online. And I was like, I know, but I was like so worried. And she's like, I know, but she's like, I do the same thing. She's like, you know, it's like with medical stuff. You look at she's like, you know, you can, you know, sneeze and you think you have life-ending disease. She's like, stop. She's like, just stop with the nonsense. I was like, okay. Alex was laughing. He was like, he got me worked up. I was like, I know I did. I got my husband worked up because I was so worried about it. But it felt really good. Like, I'm sad that Boo Radley's in pain and that he's healing, but it's a much better finding than us being like, okay, you need to make like end of life, you know, decisions right now. Like, we were both like, that's, I honestly thought on the way over there this morning. So yeah. So it's been a day, and I'm really, really tired, and I'm very thankful that Boo Radley is doing, you know, I mean, he's not in the condition, I mean, he's still healing. Like, he's been sleeping. Alex was just like, what's he doing? I said, he has literally slept the entire day. I mean, first of all, without the trazodone, when we take him to the vet, when he's not getting blood work, I mean, just going to the vet alone, like, knocks him out. It's a lot for him. So he usually sleeps the whole day after that anyway. Plus, he's been sleeping most of the days anyway. And then on the trazodone, he's been sleeping all day, like, just, like, curled up all day. So, hopefully he's getting good rest. And hopefully we'll heal. So, better news than I ever expected to get. And there was a moment, like, when I was talking to Tanya, I was like, Tanya has gut feelings about things. It's so weird, like, not just with dogs, but with anything. I can't tell you how many times, like, Tanya will call me. I, like, literally was just thinking about picking up the phone and calling. She's like, were you thinking about calling me? I was like, yeah, how'd you know? She's like, well, I was just thinking about calling. I mean, she has, like, sixth sense about stuff. And last night when she was talking about, she's like, I think he just hurt himself. He has a pinched nerve. And it was weird because it was almost exactly how the vet said it. I mean, Tanya obviously doesn't ever claim to be, like, you know, knowledgeable about it. But she's not, you know, a animal professional vet or anything like that. But she just was like, I think this is consistent with, like, dogs I've seen that have, like, pinched nerves. And so when I said that to the vet today, she's like, well, that's what I was thinking. Like, he hurt himself. She's like, I don't know necessarily if that's exactly it, but he hurt himself somehow, and he's just taking longer to heal. So, yeah. Little guy. He was a trooper, though. He was a trooper for her. It was so weird. Like, as soon as she, I mean, he was just, like, acting like he was so out of it and asleep. And as soon as she came in the room, he was, like, wagging his tail. And he was, like, so excited to see her and all this kind of stuff. I was like, were you playing all this time? I mean, oh, but then, so they came in to take his blood. And she's like, do you want to do this today, or do you want to bring him back in when he's a little more tired? She's like, because I got him like wild. She like tried to like get him a little bit going to see like what he was really like. And it was so funny because like when she was playing with him on the floor and he was like running around, she'd be like, oh my god, I like this. I like that. When he like fought her, she was like, I like this. This is healthy. I like this. And when she's like trying to look in his mouth and stuff. And so she said, do you want to do the blood work today, or do you want to bring him back in a couple days? She's like, I can't remember how she said it. She's like, I think we should do the blood work today. She's like, but he's like, he doesn't like to get the blood taken at all. She's like, but I think we need to do it today. And Alex was like adamant. He was like, yeah, we need to do the blood. I was like, yeah, sure. So then they look at me and they're like, because she had to go see another dog. And so they're like, which one of you is going to help the assistant, the vet techs out? And I was like, I was like, I'll hold them. So I hold Boo Radley. It was so funny because one of the girls was like, he is such a drama queen. They're literally, so they like took blood for one thing. I can't remember. It was 2 different blood samples, but one was from like one back leg and the other one's from the other back leg. She's literally, so I'm holding him like this with his head right here. And so she's got his paw and she's wiping it down like she's holding his paw in her hand like real lightly. It wasn't doing anything then. But like right here, if this was his paw, like where she was going to put like, you know, pull blood from. And she literally took like an alcohol like swab thing and she like put it over there. And as soon as she put that on him, he went, oh! I mean, he was like crying so hard. And the other one, this younger girl, she was so sweet. She looked like she was about 16. I said to her, I go, how long have you worked here? She was like 5 years. I go, oh my God. She's like, yeah. She's like, I've worked here since I was like 18. She was like, I love it. They were both so good. The vet techs there are so fantastic. I love them. And so she goes, he's kind of a drama queen, isn't he? And Alex said something like, just like his dad or something. But like, I mean, she didn't even have the needle in him or anything. He's like, oh, he was like crying. She said, sweetie, she goes, I don't even have the needle. I mean, obviously he didn't know, you know, but she's like, I don't even have the needle in you. Then when the needle went in him, he just like didn't even flinch or move, or he acted like it just, it was like he didn't even know. It was that cold feeling. He was like, oh, like, what are you doing to me? So anyway, after all that, so they got the one tube and they're like, do you want to do the other leg, or is he going to be too much? I was like, no, let's just do it. If we got to get both blood samples. So we got both blood samples and they said the blood sample should be back in tomorrow. So they're going to call us tomorrow morning and let us know. I'm hopeful that the stool sample was fine. She said that the little bit of blood was probably just like stress, which I thought anyway, that Alex had seen in there. So I don't know if I even said that yesterday, but the reason he took it in there was because there was a little bit of blood. So, but then last night yesterday afternoon when he pooped, there was like no blood in his poop because I, you know, picked it up and I was like, look, throw it over there in the compost pile. There was no blood in it. So I think it was just a little bit of stress, because they've told us that before, that sometimes when dogs have like spotty blood in their poop, it's stress related. So anyway, I feel like I can breathe. And tomorrow I have my doctor's appointment. So let's pray that that one goes well too, but it's not going to be that exciting one. And I have my dietitian appointment tomorrow too at the tail end of that. So let's hope that appointment goes well. It's just my 6-month checkup, but I'm sure there'll be nothing exciting about it. But anyway, that's tomorrow, the dietitian appointment, and then I'll probably film some videos. I was thinking about this today. I was like, I filmed videos on all of my channels today. So this is what happened. So we get back, I'm exhausted. Alex goes to work. I take Boo Radley out. He peed and stuff like that. And then I took him inside. He didn't want a treat or anything like that. So I took the treats upstairs, got him into bed, laid down. I think he may have like had like one treat or something, that he like laid down. And then, so I was going to lay down. I was just going to go to sleep for like a couple hours and then get up and then maybe film some stuff. And I was like, well, you're awake already, even though you only got like 2.5, 3, 4 hours. It wasn't 4. It was like 2.5, 3 hours of sleep, maybe. I was like, you're just up now. So why don't you just stay up and film some videos? So last night I watched several episodes of Sister Wives. I'm on season 15. I'm like almost at the end of season 15 now. So I've got finish 15 probably tonight, start 16. I got 16, 17, 18. And 17, 18 are the longest seasons. So I'm ready to just be honest with you, I have been so stressed out the last couple days. And I know y'all know it from last night, my vlog, but I am so ready just to sit and relax. I started this graphic novel a couple days ago called One Summer. I showed it in my book haul the other day that I did on my BookTube channel. I filmed a BookTube video today too. It's the second one this week. And I started this graphic novel the other day. It's about a girl. She and her parents go to this like lake cottage or beach cottage every year. And she's got a friend there. I just started it. It's really good though already. I love it. It won like some award for something. It's got the award on the front of it. I almost said the Cadbury Award. The Newbery like book award or something like that. It won some award for something. But I'm going to read a little bit of that and just kind of relax. I think I'm going to take a nap early tonight. And then I'm going to watch some shows and whatever. I don't know how much I'll film tomorrow because of my doctor's appointment and stuff like that. The tripod fell. See, if I sit in the bedroom, like, that's so perfect because it very rarely ever happens. It's the camera, like, goes kind of the sideways and the tripod falls because it's, like, behind the bed. But when I sit out here, it's like the tripod sometimes just, like, goes in, right? But it depends on what time I get back from the doctor's appointment and stuff tomorrow. With the tail end of it, with me meeting with her, the dietitian, that part may take longer. So, I mean, the doctor's appointment probably won't take that long, but that part might take long. And she's meeting me there. So, we'll see how that goes. It's just depending on what time I get home tomorrow is how many, videos that I'll film and stuff like that. But, yeah. I mean, I filmed 7 today. I filmed a lot of videos already this week. So, if I go kind of light the next couple days, I'm good with that. I'll still film my vlog, obviously. But tonight, I'm just going to relax. I'm really, really excited to just relax tonight because I've been so stressed and so worried. I think, on the way home today, this morning, I think that, Alex and I were both talking about that. It's finally, it's just I mean, we're still worried about him. Obviously, he's not completely back to normal, but we also know the dog's not dying. You know what I mean? And she was very hopeful about him healing. And so I was I don't know, it just was this huge weight off my shoulders, and I felt oh. But then all these texts, Mel and Nikki and Tanya and everybody's texting me, how's he doing? Our family's texting us, a group text. Everybody's texting, asking how Boo Radley is, and, which is just, the coolest thing, that we don't have kids, but we have dogs, and everybody, it's just, treats him like he's our kid, and so worried and concerned about him and stuff like that. And so it was really nice that everybody was asking about him. You guys as well. But today that everybody was reaching out to us and wanting updates on how he was doing and, how'd the vet appointment go. I think people knew that we were really, really worried. Yeah, Alex was really stressed too. I talked about him crying and stuff in the video yesterday, but I kind of played it down a little bit. He had made a comment the other night in the kitchen. He's I can't do this right now. I'm kind of I'm not prepared for it. I wasn't prepared for it. I don't think either of us was. And so, I think to some degree we had convinced ourselves that Boo would be 25, in the last year or two because he's been doing so well. And that's probably not a reality. But each moment, I think, when something like this happens, this is where it's tell me that in the moment, and I can't handle it. Yesterday, I would have been I'm not there yet. But even, before we, it was interesting because when I was talking to my vet yesterday, she said, I saw you outside the other night, really late at night, and I was yeah, we were getting ready to take Boo Radley to the emergency animal vet. Well, I was standing out here in the yard, and that's when he was kind of walking around before I took him inside. Now, he ate a little bit, Alex was feeding him, and then we still took him to the emergency vet. And when I was standing out here, I was very much you love this yard so much, Boo. This is where you always say, hi to Mrs. And you and Tucker and Pee-Pee used to, run around here. And I felt like I was saying goodbye to him, in all honesty. I need to do better. I've tried so hard this year to live in the present moment. I need to do better with enjoying each and every single moment. I really do, and I spend so much time with him. I really do, every day. It's I don't think, if something sad did happen, I don't think that I would look back and be I just would miss him, obviously, It's not like I would be well, I would do all these things differently. I do spend a lot of time with Boo Radley, a lot. And we take him outside a lot. And he's with us a lot, It's just the three of us. So, when Alex is in bed, looking at TikToks and laying down, Boo Radley's right next to him, So, I just love that little guy so much. So, I'm very grateful for it. So, there's the update. The I was going to say the other thing is I watched a bunch of Sister Wives last night. There's nothing really more to tell than that. And then today I filmed videos on all my channels. I felt kind of relieved, to be honest with you, because I really thought going to bed this morning, I was like, I probably won't be filming video. I mean, I did not know. I really was like pretty hopeless this morning. So I thought I probably won't be filming videos for a couple days to a week, including my vlog. I mean, if something like that happened, I just need time to myself to be with Alex, right? And so I was like, I got back and I think I just was like, oh, thank God. Like, thank you, God. I have to tell you, I'm not much, I mean, I do say very regimented prayers, you know. I have a lot of, like, recovery prayers and stuff that I say. But I'm also very much, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are not believers in a higher power and things like that. And that's, you know, whatever, to each his own. But I very much am. I was so very consciously talking to my higher power last night. And just talking to God and being like, just a lot last night. It's hard, you know, I talked about this. It was the night that Tucker passed away, actually, with the wheelbarrow analogy. It was that topic that meeting that I went to that night before Tucker passed away. And the wheelbarrow analogy, you know, is in recovery. I mean, it's been applied to other things as well, but there was like a story about the Niagara Falls. But the one that I heard was the difference between belief and faith. And there, you know, is this guy, and he's standing on the side of the Grand Canyon, and he's got a tightrope. And I've told it like a couple different ways, but just recently I like heard it the way that I think it's supposed to be told. So anyway, I may have told it this way before, but anyway, so he goes across the tightrope in a wheelbarrow, and he comes back, and this guy's looking at him, and he says to him, do you believe that I can make it to the other side in this wheelbarrow and back on this tightrope? And the guy looks at him and goes, well, yeah, I believe it. And he goes, okay, why? And he goes, because I just saw you do it. Like, I believe it. And he goes, okay. He goes, do you have faith that I can do it? And he goes, yeah, I have faith. I think that's what he says, do you believe it? He goes, yeah. He goes, do you have faith that I can do it? He goes, well, yeah, I have faith you can do it. I just saw you do it. And he goes, get in the wheelbarrow. And that's the difference between faith and belief for me. And it was so weird that happened that night, because I can remember coming home, you know, after leaving the vet, and just like standing out here and being like, I think I was taking Boo Radley out after the night after Tucker passed away, and I just was like, you know, I was like talking to God, and I talk to God like I talk to anybody else, and I was like, okay, God, you know, like, I talk a lot about my belief system and having faith and whatever, but I feel like there's been a lot of moments, and you know, this was 3 months after the 2.5 months after the accident, and I said, you know, I'm like talking to God, and I'm like, you know, I think there's been a lot of moments in my life for the last, you know, 40 some years where I'm not really sure I'm 100% in the wheelbarrow. I'm just not. I'm in the wheelbarrow now. And I've checked myself on that, because it's hard to stay in the wheelbarrow. It really is, right? It's why, like, I have a friend of mine that says, you don't need to continue to pray to God for the same things, begging him for him, her, whatever, for the same things over and over and over again. God doesn't need a reminder, you know? And I love that. And I kind of got to a point last night in my prayer where I was like, there's a God and I'm not it, and whenever it's going to happen, and I can't control that, you know? And I got to lean on my support system, and I got to lean on faith. That being said, I'm very grateful that things turned out the way that they did. And thank you guys so much for the support that you gave us, Boo, Alex, and myself in the last couple days. I really, really appreciate it. So there's your update, and I think with that, I am going to go inside, and I can hear Alex turn on the TV, so he must be heating up something for dinner. I'm going to go see what he's doing and get this vlog started to go. All my other videos are already up already, can you believe it? Or they're scheduled to go up. I had, like, posted my drama video, my Peter Rosens video, and then the other 4 were, like, scheduled to go up at, like, 15-minute intervals. Because sometimes people will be like, you post all your videos at the same... I do. I, like, post them like that. And they're like, you post them all at the same moment. So, like, schedule them, like, 15 minutes to a half an hour apart. So I'm going to go in and start rendering this vlog and getting it up, and then go and spending time with Alex and Boo and just living in a little bit of gratitude tonight. So thank you guys so much. I love you so much. I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Thursday. If you're watching this on Friday morning, I hope that you're having a fantastic beginning to your weekend. And I love you guys so much. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love you.